Is housing first a solution to homelessness?
Yeah, it certainly is. And it's kind of an interesting, and this is an area I've done a lot of research in. I come out of the community mental health, kind of end of things. And of course, if you work in community mental health and you do research in community mental health, housing is a central part of, getting people integrated into the community. But housing first is really what we know works. There's a extensive now kind of research base that shows that it's effective. It targets people who are chronically homeless, so people who have long-term kind of histories of homelessness, whether it's homelessness for years without any housing, or it's moving in and out of housing. It never quite works out, so it's considered a more episodic kind of homelessness. But that group of people that make up probably 15 to 20% of the population, that seems pretty clear. Housing first is incredibly effective to end their homelessness. And it's the reason why it's been taken up, as a policy in the U.S. Through HUD. In Canada, we kind of took it up and then we've backed away from it, which is actually a problem right now. But across Europe now, housing first. And what I'll say is, even though it targets the 15-20%, I think it has the elements of ending homelessness for probably most people who are homeless. Because when you look at housing first, well, what is it? It's a rent supplement. There's the poverty problem. And it's the support that's titrated to meet, to fix, to be in line with what people need in terms of intensity and in terms of what they see as their needs. So I think those elements, you could transfer them. And in fact, in the US, they did a very large study called the Family Options Study fairly recently. And it was actually, again, rent supplements combined with the support. Actually, for families doesn't have to be intensive, by the way, because family homelessness is mostly an economic problem. Having said that, there is the issue of family breakup and domestic violence that we can't forget, that's feeding homelessness. But I do think what we've shown with Housing First is, you don't have to fix people. That's not where the solution is. You've got to fix their situation. And what's their situation? It's the poverty, and just being given the support up front so that they can get back into housing. And then working out, okay, what are the longer term needs? So I do think that has to be a central part of our way out of homelessness. And I would say the values behind Housing First, harm reduction is central to it. But the other one, which we forget, because this is such a marginalized group of people, is choice. We've got to give people agency, like around their lives. I mean, everything's been taken away from you when you're homeless. So now, to say, look, here's a rent supplement. Let's go out and try to find a place that you think is going to work for you. And then also choice around services and so on. So I'm a big proponent of it. And there's lots of debate. Is it the way to go? And it's been called all sorts of. It's been critiqued because it's favored private market rentals, even though Housing First can be provided, offered, or delivered in social housing. In fact, it is in many European countries. And the other thing I'll just, there's research base that shows that it's effective, But there's also, at the level of countries, right now in Scandinavia, notably Finland, Norway, and Denmark have had huge reductions in homelessness because they have essentially made housing first a central part of their national policies. So we're by no means there yet. We've gone a completely different route where the governments say communities know what's best for them. They don't want to prescribe anything, including housing first as a solution. And I think that's a mistake, quite frankly, from a policy standpoint.